Alrighty, y'all. Hello, it's Friday. We've made it to the weekend. I'm pretty excited. Let's have some fun, shall we? Found some pretty interesting things from Europe, and of course, some bonus features at the end from around the world. Let's just jump straight into it. Okay, now I think we've all learned, or at least heard, the stereotype that there are so many bicycles and cyclists in Amsterdam or just Netherlands as a whole, right? Well, this kind of proves that, if I'm being honest. Yeah, take a look at this. That is insane. There are more, junked or lost bicycles in this canal, the famous canals, right? Than there are in my whole city over here in the U.S., I think. That is crazy. Wow. In the canals. There's a final look at just what appears to be maybe one section of a canal. Maybe not even this whole shot. Maybe just a corner of it. I mean, that is insane. Also, I know there's a lot of cyclists there, but how many people are wrecking and falling into the canals? Or how many people are just saying, you know what, screw this, and throwing the bike in there? What the hell's going on here? Better odds than any claw machine I've ever played. Couldn't have said it better myself. Imagine getting jackpot after jackpot like that. The ones I've been playing, man, they are rigged. Also, something I would have never thought of, but this comment's very accurate. Reminder, why you don't jump or swim in canals. Yeah, that is a good reason not to. They're filled with muck, and they have a lot of junk in there that wouldn't be very pleasant to, let's just say you dive in. That wouldn't be pleasant to go headfirst into a bunch of bikes. There's so many bikes in the canal because they can reproduce really fast due to a lack of natural predators. Yeah, that must be it. They can't do that here. Their natural predator here in the U.S., of course, is, the millions and millions of automobiles and trucks on the road. All right, and sticking with interesting things throughout Europe, we go over to Poland for this one. And, who knew Jurassic Park was in Poland? I thought it was filmed elsewhere. It may have been, but they do have Jurassic Park replicas in Poland. It's the largest one, as a matter of fact, and this is pretty neat. If you are wondering how big these actually are, take a gander at the people here. They look like bugs underneath this thing. These are huge. It looks like it has great detail as well. I mean, you could see the sun shining down on it, kind of highlighting the muscles and the structure of this thing. This is really neat. Again, considering the size too. It's actually in a shockingly accurate setting. Like, it looks legit, with the water right there. And it just, I don't know. This works. This is really cool. I would never expect to stumble upon Jurassic Park dinosaurs in Poland, but here we are. Now, I've actually been to a dinosaur kind of thing. I don't know, like a show or exhibit. With when my kids were really little, so maybe like 4 years ago, and it was in Illinois, and it was something they set up temporarily, so it was only like something that was there for like a week, and then they take it away. And it was like, I thought big dinosaurs, but not this big. This is crazy. It was something you drove through, and there was like all these different, dinosaur things. It was cool, but I feel like this is an actual permanent like park. So you can see this anytime. And like I said, these are just huge and severely detailed. I love it. The spot where borders of Czech Republic, Germany, and Poland meet. And as an American, you see a picture of our borders here. I just cannot comprehend this. Looks like to me, you go here and you could just step foot into any of these countries. Not a big deal. We've seen videos where people drive through. We've seen car chases go from one country to another. Again, this kind of thing may seem so simple to most people, but to me, the border is just such a big deal and such a headache and such like a intimidating force. Seeing this, it just blows my mind. And speaking of Czechs, I didn't know this, but the first non-Soviet and non-American astronaut in space was a Czech. Did you know this? Let's take a look. It was Czech Vladimir Remek, 1948 to present. So I think he's still alive. That's what that means? He was headed to space on March 2nd, 1978 in Soviet ship Soyuz 28. It was the first international crew in history of space travel. Remek spent in space station Salyut 6 overall 190 hours and 18 minutes. So shout out to this Czech. You can see his Czech flag on his spacesuit. How freaking cool is that? I did not actually know that. Now going back to the Dutch on this one, see if you could pick them out in this picture. This is actually from a few years ago. But look at the height difference. Now, that's another stereotype. The Dutch are tall. I mean, there you go. You even have politicians meeting, and they just tower above everyone in the room. This is, of course, in the Oval Office in the White House here in the United States. And I think you can pick out the Dutch guys. Netherlands is a low-lying country that floods frequently, so this is just a result of natural selection. Now, it's no secret that I've become a huge fanatic of rally racing, right? And, European motorsports in general are freaking next level to me, right? Formula One, rally, tons of other disciplines you could name. But rally really is insane to me. I love it. And this is a pretty cool demonstration showing the safety of a rally car. These cars are engineered to the moon and back. They're freaking awesome. So take a look at this. So you see this horrifying crash, right? This thing veers off the road at a high speed down a cliff, the worst case scenario you could ever think of. It's barreling down a cliff. Something you just think, unfortunately, would be, well, the end for anyone in any car. And you see the car looks like a mangled mess, but it held together spectacularly well. I mean, what a terrifying thing. And I'm sure this wasn't comfortable. I'm sure these guys are shaken up for probably a couple years. Let's get real. That's not a very great memory to have. But the fact that they can, essentially walk away from this, or at least, live through this, I'm sure they might have sustained some minor injuries, but they stay very well put in the car considering how many G-forces are going through this thing when you're slamming into the earth at high speeds. Yeah, it's incredible how the car holds up. All right, now we're heading up north to Oxford for this one. Check this out. The White Horse of Uffington is a 3,000-year-old prehistoric hill figure in Oxford. It was formed by digging of deep, curved trenches into the chalk hillside and then filling the trenches with white chalk rubble. I'm assuming there's a train or road somewhere nearby, so you're driving or riding in something, and you glance across the landscape and you see this hill with this on there. It would just be so cool, right? It would stick out in the coolest way, and you'd be like, what the hell is that? That's the White Horse of Uffington. It looks really, really neat. You can see kind of the old photo down here, what it still looks like today. When you think about the fact that this is 3,000 years old, I can't even comprehend that. It's truly incredible. And you can see why it looks a little different as well. That's a pretty big chunk of time. Okay, this is the, brace yourself for me trying to pronounce this, the Hagrimskurs, try again, the Hagrimskirkja in Reykjavik, Iceland. I tried. But we're going to go full screen for this. This looks incredible. Seriously, that is like out of this world to me. Like, what the hell? There's so many places as an American, right? There's just such a different aesthetic here, no matter where you go, right? We just don't have anything of this, grandness and historic, out of this world looking architecture. Like, it's just not a thing here on the same level. This looks truly like you're stepping into a movie. The fact that this is real and just sitting there in present day Iceland is spectacular. Anyone ever been here, you have to let me know. I'm assuming this would just be beyond amazing in person. Someone took a video from of course, an airplane of a Rammstein concert, I believe in Germany or somewhere nearby. It doesn't specify, but that's pretty crazy that you could see that from that high up. I've never been to one of their concerts. If you have been, enlighten me. Is it truly out of this world like it's shown to be here? That looks pretty freaking intense. Now, of course, there's a famous store from Europe, in particular Sweden, and that, of course, is the famous IKEA or IKEA, depending on how you say it. Now, it's popular here in the U.S. I think it's a fascinating place. And one thing that's pretty interesting, unlike 99% of companies, at least here in the U.S., look at what they've done here. This is their prices in 1985, which is hard to believe, but a long time ago, versus 2025. And we have, a lot of similar things, right? Not exactly the same, but similar items. And quite frankly, the prices are the same or sometimes even cheaper. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about quality. Is it the same quality? Maybe, probably not. I mean, a lot of things were just built better a long time ago, but at least they're not like other companies where the quality's gone down and the price has quadrupled, right? Most companies here in the U.S., if it was $395 in 1985, well, that price would be $1,500 now. That's how most things are. As you see, they're very close in price 40 years later. I think this is freaking awesome. I think they deserve recognition for that. They're not ultra greedy like so many other companies here are. Hotels in Europe offer rent a pet fish for single travelers. What a cute and kind of thoughtful thing that I would never think of. And I've never even knew was a thing. I could safely say I've never seen this in a U.S. hotel. Big surprise. It says, alone in your room and want company, rent a fish, $3.50 or basically €3 a night. That is awesome. There you go. Is this a thing? Is this common in hotels? And do people partake in this? I bet they probably would. I mean, it's just €3. Why not? Is this kind of low-key genius? I feel like it is. Unfortunately, I feel like this could never catch on here. Too many just crappy people that would, let's just say this would go wrong, and they would ruin it for everyone. This is the European section in a U.S. grocery store. So, we've seen posts where it'll be an American section in a European store, somewhere in Germany or somewhere in France or wherever. This is what you would see here. Now, I have to say this one's a little generous. Most around me will only be maybe like 3 shelves or 4 shelves. So you don't have much to choose from. It's pretty lackluster. Now, that's why I have to legit find whole stores that are European stores. I'm lucky to be able to do that around the Chicago area. That's not really common in a lot of cities. But yeah, this is pretty much all you'll get in a regular U.S., based grocery store. And as you can see, not much. So you're stuck with the, questionable at best, U.S. snacks and products. What do we think? How does this represent Europe? Is it very cliche? Is it kind of a decent representation, or is it just pretty shitty? Well, speaking of products and product differences, I love that. This one, I keep learning. This one I've never seen, and I think this is actually a fascinating idea. I supposedly in Europe, drinks can come with a protective foil lid. It's the little differences. So maybe assuming this is someone from outside of Europe, maybe even an American that posted this, because we're not used to this. This is not a thing here. I've never seen this at all. Although I think this is awesome, right? The fact that it has a protective foil lid, especially on cans, right? There's always for people that actually think about stuff a little further than normal, there is always a sanitary concern about cans and of course the lid where you're literally drinking from. That's so cool. This is protected, sealed like this. And then I'm assuming you just peel it off and then go to drink, but it's going to be a lot cleaner. Very cool idea. It is the little things that, quite frankly, a lot of European countries do better. And it's so cool to see. Of course, we have the town with the longest name in Europe. Supposedly, you have to fact check this. Tell me if this is right or wrong. And no, you will not be seeing me try to pronounce that. Just sorry, guys. Not a chance. Not a chance. But there it is. Is this real? Is this real for how can this be a name? I know there's lots of different languages and dialects, especially in European countries. And I know Welsh is I don't actually know much about Wales or Welsh, but I have heard that it's pretty, I like fascinating language from the outside, right? Like it can be very confusing for people that wouldn't speak it. Well, this lives up to that. If this is a real word and a real town, name, what are we doing here? How do people say where they're from? Does this fit on street signs? Like when you're approaching the town, does it say how many miles or kilometers you are away? And how do they fit this on the sign? I found this one hilarious. So we have Mr. Clean, very famous, cleaning products brand here in the U.S. And apparently instead of Mr. Clean, some European countries have Mr. Proper. I don't know what countries exactly. Maybe this will give it away. I don't know what currency that is, but maybe like Czech crowns, or where is that? I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I thought this was hilarious. Mr. Proper. Why isn't it called Mr. Clean? Like, what? Why the name change? It's definitely the same dude. It's the same dude, but I guess it's his brother, Mr. Proper. Color code for gasoline and diesel reversed in Europe. Green is petrol, black is diesel. Now, of course, using the whole Europe thing is a bit of a fail because this might be different in different countries. So take that with a grain of salt. But that is bizarre to me because that is totally different. Black pumps would be gasoline here. Yellow would be ethanol, which you guys might not even have. They always try and push E85 or ethanol gas here. And now, at this point, no one really uses it. It was like a failed experiment, but they still have it. And then, of course, diesel would always be green pumps here. So if you have a gas car, you don't want to be grabbing the green pump. And if you do drive a diesel, which are, of course, rare here, you don't want to be grabbing the black gasoline pump. That's going to do really bad things. Family-sized bags of M&Ms in Europe, the left one, so I guess like the blue-colored one, and then the USA. Yeah, we're just big and fat in everything we do. Our food sizes, our portions, our clothing, like all the sizes are always different. And of course, ours would be ginormous. They're both family size. I guess just our families are twice as big. And then speaking of Coca-Cola, apparently it's normal for people to go to European countries and when they order a Coke, there's a lemon in it. Now, this is actually kind of cool. This was taken in Zurich. And that would be really refreshing, actually, because, I every once in a while on my own, like at my house, if I have a Coca-Cola and it's really cold, like a cold Coke, I'll put lime in it sometimes. I just like lime, and I like it in a lot of things. But, of course, I've never seen it out in public like that. I find that odd. That's just one of those little cultural differences that I didn't know, and I wonder why that's like a thing. But is that common to put lemons in your Coca-Cola across various countries in Europe? I think that's kind of cool. This is fascinating. Going back to the Czechs for this one, I guess you want to hire a Czech to design, or to be your architect, to design your buildings. This is crazy, guys. Apparently, the only building standing after the bomb in Hiroshima, obviously terrible event, and of course the Beirut explosion. Now, I don't know if that means the one that was like recently, like a few years ago or not, but either way, two crazy events where a lot of things exploded. Both these buildings were one of the only structures standing, and they were both made by Czechs. Czechs designed these, and look, they withstood crazy events. That's insane to me. That is actually incredible. This is one of those weird facts that just really kind of itches the brain. Are Czech architects just grade A, like the best, some of the best in the world? That's freaking awesome. They know how to design a strong freaking structure. It's very impressive. Of course, the comments are golden on this. Note to self, only hire Czech builders in the future. Amen to that. Checks and balances. And of course, checkmate. Now, before signing off, we'll just do a couple of interesting things from around the world. I thought this was pretty interesting. The door to hell in Turkmenistan. I don't know if you've heard of this. A lot of people have. I've heard of this years ago. This has been burning for 54 years continuously. I think that's absolutely wild, right? Kind of science that goes above my head. I think it's so cool and random. Is actually about to be closed. So after 54 years of just burning and burning and burning every minute, I guess it's going to be over. The end of an era, you could say. I found that pretty interesting. You know, someone mentions the crater opened in 1971 after a Soviet gas drilling rig accidentally hit a natural gas reservoir. End of an era, for sure. I thought this was absolutely fascinating because I always appreciate good kind of operators of any machine, you know, good drivers, good race car drivers, good pilots, right? And this is an incredible pilot. This is landing a plane without landing gear. I believe this was taken in the 90s, somewhere in the U.S. I don't know what the whole story is, but I figured the video was worth a watch. Has no sound. But, yeah, you can see this thing coming in pretty hot. They're going to land with absolutely no landing gear. So it's going to have to land on the belly. And I found it amazing how he keeps it so flat. That's the only way he could have done it. If you land, you know, too pitched up like that, it would have violently pulled the nose down. It would have been a nightmare. Of course, you don't want to land nose down either. They just had it perfectly level and did a great job, in my opinion. You know, that's real life, right? I think that's incredible. Of course, you're going to get some sparks and a little bit of flame action with all the fuel. Hopefully they dumped some fuel, I'm imagining, before landing. But the fact that they were able to land that and it looked extremely kind of graceful and skidded to a stop. And then you get that little puff of fire at the end. But that was it. I think that's absolutely incredible. Round of applause. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one, this episode of interesting stuff around Europe and, quite frankly, around the world. It is Friday. Hope your weekend is going to be absolutely awesome. I really do appreciate you joining me for this one, and hopefully I'll see you in another one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all, stay safe out there. I'll catch you later.